I've been putting together a whole bunch of videos talking about the stages of fibromyalgia. So the influencing factors when it comes to treating something like fibromyalgia. So we've looked at things like how the immune system affects it, how gut dysbiosis affects it, stress, blood flow, aka circulation, thyroid, hormone, how all of these things affected it. So what does this actually look like? What does this treatment process actually look like when we're doing this in real time? So I wrapped with another patient recently, actually got a testimonial video that we're preparing and we're gonna put up on the website here very soon, but I thought I would share this with you all. So this was a patient that had come in and this was actually from several years ago. And then I touched base with them again recently, which was kind of interesting. They come in diagnosed with fibromyalgia, also diagnosed with some heavy metal poisoning through their blood work. A lot of pain. So basically chronic widespread pain. I said, can we get more specific about where those pains are? And they're just like, it's just everywhere. I just hurt everywhere. Some places more than others, like the neck, the low back were big areas, and then headaches was a big one with this one, and a lot of abdominal pain, a lot of digestive issues in this particular case. Now, if you watch any of my videos, I've told you, you have to treat these things in the proper order. There might be certain issues that seem more pressing, but the way the body system works, the way the systems of the body work, they need to be addressed appropriately and at the right times. So if you do them out of order, you might actually lose progress. So I started looking at this, and of course I want to get them out of pain as fast as possible. But in this particular case, we had to start with stage 1. We have to start by making sure that the immune system is working well, that we are dealing with any kind of hidden pathogens, that we're making sure that the immune system is strong enough to fight if other pathogens do come in, because if that happens, it can derail the whole process. So we started there. And one of the big things we honed on was actually these headaches, because these headaches were shown that the immune system was being very much affected by them. Some of the things that I would notice with this is that these headaches would come on very, very easily with weather changes. They would come on if the neck and the head went from warm to cold very, very quickly. So even though there was a lot of other things going on, we started there. We started by addressing the immune system. So I gave specific exercises that started addressing the immune system. We worked with diet that addressed the immune system. We worked with some specific herbs that addressed the immune system. So this process took about 3 to 4 weeks. It took us a little bit of time. So throughout this process, we actually saw these headaches come down considerably. So these headaches could be a 7 or 8 out of 10. So that was a very major pain that had gone away in this process. Now, and then the person wasn't affected by all these temperature changes and weather changes anymore, which was a great sign. However, a lot of the widespread pain was still there, okay? Now, when I had first done the assessment with this particular person, it was very clear to me that this was primarily a stage 2 issue. Now remember, I said you have to go in order, right? So I treated stage 1 first. And I always follow up on these things, of course. And when we started getting towards stage 2, I said, how are the headaches? Headaches are better. But, a lot of these other like widespread pains were not as good. We said, okay, we're entering stage 2. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we're changing things up. Here's what the process looks like. Now, so it took us, 3 to 4 weeks to get those headaches down and under control. Once we entered stage 2, once we finally looked at stage 2, I'm trying to wave back at you guys. I'm monitoring a bunch of things here. Once we got in there, we started this process in stage 2, and I followed up 1 week later. Now, remember I told you, stage 2 was the primary stage for this particular person. 1 week later, all those widespread pains went down by 50%. Now, this was massive. I talked to the patient. They looked at me just wide-eyed, like, what the heck just happened? And I told them, I said, look, this was exactly how it was going to go. I told you this was your primary stage. And once we finally attacked that stage, once we finally got into that stage, the progress was just rapid. It was incredible. Now, when we enter a stage like that, that is a primary stage for somebody. So as a good example, your primary stage might be stress. That stress is your biggest factor. Now, I know everybody dealing with fibro has a good bit of this, bit of stress, and it's a factor with virtually everybody. But for some people, it's the primary stage. For other people, it's just a secondary stage, or it's just a complicating factor. But when you get to that stage, that is going to be the one where you hit pay dirt, where you see the most symptoms calm down. And often it's the stage that you need to spend the most time on. In one case, I was dealing with a realtor who it was very clear their primary stage was stage 3. It was stress. Now imagine being a realtor. I mean, that is a job that requires quite a bit from you, right? And it's a very stressful job. So once we hit that stage, we spent 2 months on that stage alone and only weeks on the other stage. It was pretty fascinating. So anyways, with this particular patient, we hit stage 2 and the pain just started melting away. Within 3 weeks, we were 80% down. That's the chronic widespread body pain, the digestive issues calmed down. Beyond that, we'd gotten rid of the primary pains, and the rest of the program was literally just mopping up little pieces. Yeah, we did a little bit of work in stage 3 because there were some burning pains, a little bit of muscular tension with stress. And then in this particular case, we didn't do a whole lot with circulation. We did some work with it, but this person didn't need very much. Really, when we hit stage 2, that's where things went. And remember now, this was, of course, a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, chronic unexplained pain, heavy metal poisoning. That was kind of an interesting sidebar in this particular case, but that's kind of how it goes. We start following the stage. We follow this process, and we follow it pretty much to the letter. We put emphasis where emphasis is needed because everybody's got a different issue. You know, I had somebody else that came to me. This was last year in October, I believe. And this particular person, it all started with them getting sick. And they kept getting sick over and over again. They get these like little colds or like flu-like symptoms. And then they have this big fibro flare-up, and they would be sick for weeks at a time. This was basically a pathogen that got in the body and was hiding itself in a biofilm. So they got sick. Their body's immune system worked to fight it. I think they took some antibiotics as well. But then this pathogen hid itself. It protected itself from the immune system. And then once this person thought that they were on the up and up, thought that they were doing better, suddenly things started getting worse again. They go through another flare-up. When that flare-up would be months they'd have this flare-up for months at a time. This is what the process looked like. That's what these biofilm, this stage 1 issue looks like. That's what hidden pathogens look like. It can be very different when it's a stage 2 issue. It can be a dietary thing. It can be mold exposure in stage 2. Stage 3 could be stress. It could be, PTSD would be a big thing with that. Chronic trauma. And again, it really is important that we follow this progression to a letter, because we are looking at how the body systems work. We're looking at how one system feeds into the next, how the immune system deals with inflammation and pain, how the digestive system supports the immune system, how the digestive system and the stress in our stress and cortisol system, how they interact, how they interplay with each other. So when you get stressed, it can affect your digestion. If you get poor digestive issues, it can cause stress. All of these things, all of these systems will work together. They will work sort of in tandem. One will support the other. Now, if one system's off, it can screw up a whole bunch of other systems. But if you make this system strong, it can support a whole bunch of other systems. This is why when dealing with something like fibromyalgia or any chronic issue, it is important to look at the body as a whole. This is instrumentally important. So I hope this sheds a bit more light on this. I'm kind of looking back and forth between multiple cameras. Hopefully that wasn't too distracting, but otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a great day.